Hello everyone, welcome back to Storytime. We are currently reading The Willigrews 2 by Terry Tarbox, and Terry is a local author who has very kindly said that we can read his stories for Storytime. So thank you very much, Terry. And this book is illustrated by Terry's niece, and her name is Wendy. So we are now on part 6 of The Willigrews and the Mighty Stump of Doom, and they've reached the top. Yay! They've found the 6 Willigrews that had gone missing. Yay! And now they've got to find a safe way back down and hopefully not bump into anything nasty like they did on the way up. Although we've just found a sign about the lobe chompers. Cover your ears. So let's find out what happens. Just as Longstint was about to warn everyone to cover their earlobes, Ben Mander gave a loud squeal. Ow! It's got my lobe! Hanging from Ben Mander's ear was what looked like a snail with a semi-detached shell and metallic wings. It made horrible slurpy munching noises, much to Ben Mander's horror. Quick, get it off me, she cried. It really hurts quite a lot. The others couldn't hear her cries because they had their ears covered, but they could see what was happening. There were lobe chompers everywhere, hundreds of them, circling around above the Willigrews' heads. Longstint ran over to Ben Mander and tried to pull the lobe chomper off, but it was stuck fast. He was alarmed to see that Ben Mander's ear was bleeding quite badly. However, as he had to uncover his own ears, a lobe chomper clamped itself to him. Ow! Ooh, ouch! He squealed. The lobe chompers were about to move in on the others when suddenly, as if out of nowhere, a green flash appeared. It was Chloe, the fairy, coming to the rescue. She carried a magic wand and pointed it at the lobe chomper attached to Ben Mander's ear. Zap! She shouted as a bolt of green light struck the creature, which flew into the air, but not before one final chomp. After doing the same for Longstint, she chased all the other lobe chompers off by waving her wand in their direction. Chloe apologised for having to make the zap sound herself because the auto-zap feature on her wand was not working properly. I must look for that wand insurance policy I took out, she said. Longstint and Rusin were delighted to see Chloe again and thanked her for coming to their aid. I was looking for you, in fact, she said. I thought you might like some cake for your journey home. It's a new recipe I obtained from the new recipe fairy, and it's called Lemon Right Way Up Cake. I do hope you like it. I'm sure we will, replied Longstint, licking his lips. Yummo, agreed Duffy, who was sitting on Chloe's shoulder. After putting some magic-y ointment on Ben Mander's and Longstint's ears, Chloe said her goodbyes and, amid much waving and blowing of kisses and flying around in circles, she flew off into the distance, leaving a trail of green sparkliness behind her. The Willigrews and Duffy were missing their homes now and made their minds up to head down the stump as soon as possible. They didn't come across any more problems until they were almost out of the boodad trees at the foot of the stump. Spirits were high as the happy band walked through the forest when suddenly Duffy gave out a large chirp. Looking up, the Willigrews saw that a large bird had Duffy in its talons and was carrying him off. That must be the harrow spork he told us about, groaned Rusin. Poor Duffy, he's doomed. Not if I can help it, said a deep voice from behind a tree. It might have been a voice from behind a deep tree. I will save your feathery friend. It was, to the Willigrews' amazement, unmistakably the beast of the moonlight shadow. It stared up at the birds, which were now quite high in the sky, and, from his eyes, produced a stream of golden light, which surrounded the harrow spork. A loud squawking noise came from the harrow spork, and it released little Duffy, who came tumbling down towards the ground. Just as he was about to crash land, the beast caught him and gently placed him on the ground. There, there, said the beast reassuringly. Where, replied Duffy, when he saw who had saved him. Aren't you supposed to be an evil monster? Inquired Rusin. And haven't you been following us? The beast spoke. Well, I don't blame you for thinking that, but that's just my reputation. You see, I have been watching over you to make sure you were safe. I am so sorry if I frightened you, but I hide away as much as possible, especially during the day, because I am so terribly ugly. You see, I never wanted to be a beast when I was a child. I wanted to work in a call centre. Longstint wanted to say, "Well, you're no oil painting, mate." But he, like the others, began to feel a bit sorry for the beast and said instead, "You're not ugly at all, just different." Ben Mander went even further by saying, "In fact, I think you are quite handsome in a sort of gruesome way. A nice hair wash and a visit to the dentist to have your fangs polished, and you could become quite the dashing beast. Just you go and visit Trudy Jellygurk, the fashion advisor. She'll sort you out," she advised, handing over Trudy's business card. "Do you really think so?" asked the beast, who was warming to the Willigrews. "You have just proven to us that you are good," explained Rusin. "Even the most beautiful creatures become ugly if it is badly evil. You see, good is beautiful and evil is ugly, whatever it looks like." Before too long, the beast was sitting down and sharing the lemon cake. Well, I say sharing because he ate the whole thing in one huge gulp. However, the Willigrews didn't mind and gave him a nice cup of chickweed tea to wash it down with. "Wow, that was totally yumsome," said the beast, licking one of his fangs. "Thank you very much." Enog was curious and asked the beast what its real name was. "I'd almost forgotten," he replied, "but I used to be called Cedric by my parents." "Well, Cedric is a lovely name and not a name for a beast at all. We shall all call you Cedric from this moment onwards," enthused Ben Mander. So are we to call him the Cedric of the Moonlight Shadow now?" asked Duffy, who was sitting on Cedric's head looking for insects. The others laughed and said altogether, "No, just Cedric." A happy, more confident Cedric waved farewell to the Willigrews and headed out to find Trudy Jellygurk to arrange a makeover. "Well, that was a surprise," said Rusin, as the little band headed home on the last leg of their journey, and the others agreed. Duffy flew on ahead to tell the inhabitants of Willigrue that their heroes were on their way home. The rest of the trip was quite uneventful, and eventually the little group of travellers arrived, tired and hungry, in Willigrue. Bromgley and Yill had arranged a huge reception for the homecoming, with large colourful banners, music, dancing, lots of silliness and plenty of food. Before the festivities started, Bromgley gave a speech to the assembled crowd. "Fellow Willigrews, I would like you to join me in welcoming our brave heroes home. They have not only conquered the mighty stump of doom, but have also rescued the long-lost Willigrews, who have been missing for so long. We Willigrews are naturally curious, and despite the dangers, we will always look for new experiences and adventures, but it is always nice to come home to the safety of the village." Realising that he was going on a bit and that some of the crowd had nodded off, Bromgley wound up his speech, put it on the ground where it went round in little circles, by thanking Duffy Scrunnock, who at some risk to his own life had assisted the Willigrews in their adventure. "I would like to invite Duffy to live with us in our village and be our #1 feathered friend," he said finally. The audience cheered and did the Willigrue national dance, and Duffy flew around in circles, twitching and chirping in agreement. Oh, I am so glad they all got home. That was good. That was good, wasn't it? All those scary things that happened, but they all got home nice and safely. So join me tomorrow at 2 o'clock where we will read the next story in Willigrews 2 by Terry Tarbox. So I will see you then. Bye-bye.